At its peak, the British Empire was the largest empire the world had ever seen. It was a vast and sprawling entity that left an indelible mark on history. The sheer scale of the empire was unprecedented, and its influence was felt in every corner of the globe. It spanned across continents, encompassing vast territories in Asia, Africa, North America, and Oceania. From the bustling markets of India to the remote outposts in the Pacific, the British Empire's reach was truly global. Each region under British control had its own unique story, contributing to the rich tapestry of the empire. British influence reached every corner of the globe. The Union Jack flew over countless territories, symbolizing British authority and presence. Colonial architecture, with its distinctive style, can still be seen in many former colonies, serving as a reminder of the empire's extensive reach. People often said the sun never sets on the British Empire. This famous phrase captured the vastness of the empire, where at any given moment the sun was shining on at least one of its territories. It was a testament to the empire's global presence and the interconnectedness of its dominions. This meant that the British Empire was so large that it was always daytime, somewhere within its borders. The empire's vastness was not just a matter of geography, but also of time, as it spanned multiple time zones and climates, creating a diverse and complex entity. The British Empire was a complex and often contradictory phenomenon. It brought about significant progress in many areas, such as infrastructure, education, and governance. However, it also led to exploitation, oppression, and conflict, leaving a legacy that is still debated today. It brought about both progress and exploitation, innovation and oppression. The railways and telegraphs introduced by the British revolutionized communication and transportation, yet these advancements often came at a high cost to the local populations who faced harsh labor conditions and loss of autonomy. Understanding its rise and fall is crucial to comprehending the world we live in today. The British Empire's legacy is evident in the modern political boundaries, economic systems, and cultural exchanges that shape our current global landscape. The transition from colonial rule to independence was a complex process that reshaped nations and identities. The British Empire's success was due to a multitude of factors. Its ability to adapt and innovate, combined with strategic military and diplomatic efforts, allowed it to maintain control over vast territories. The empire's administrative systems and economic policies also played a crucial role in its expansion and sustainability. These included its powerful navy, its industrial revolution, and its shrewd diplomacy. The Royal Navy was the backbone of British power, ensuring control over the seas and protection of trade routes. The Industrial Revolution provided the technological advancements and economic strength needed to support the empire's ambitions. British naval power allowed it to control the seas, protecting its trade routes and projecting its power abroad. Naval dominance was a key factor in the empire's ability to expand and maintain its territories, as it enabled the movement of troops, goods, and information across vast distances. The Industrial Revolution gave Britain a technological edge, enabling it to produce goods more efficiently and outcompete its rivals. The advancements in manufacturing, transportation, and communication transformed British society and economy, providing the resources and infrastructure needed to support its global empire. British diplomats were skilled at forging alliances and playing different powers against each other. Their ability to negotiate treaties and form strategic partnerships was instrumental in maintaining the empire's influence and stability. Diplomacy was as crucial as military might in the British Empire's strategy for dominance. The story of the British Empire begins in the 16th century. England, like other European powers, embarked on voyages of exploration seeking new trade routes and opportunities. These early expeditions led to the establishment of trading posts and colonies in North America, the Caribbean, and India. One of the most significant early ventures was the founding of the East India Company in 1600. This company was granted a royal charter by Queen Elizabeth I, giving it a monopoly over English trade in the East Indies. The East India Company would play a pivotal role in the expansion of the British Empire. Initially, the English were primarily interested in trade, not conquest. They sought spices, textiles, and other luxury goods from the East. However, over time, the East India Company became increasingly powerful and began to exert its influence in Indian politics. The East India Company's transformation from a trading company to a quasi-governmental entity was a gradual process. Initially, the company was established in 1600 by royal charter, with the primary aim of trading in the lucrative markets of the East Indies. However, as the company expanded its operations, it began to play a more significant role in the political and military affairs of the regions where it operated. This transformation was not sudden, but involved a series of wars, alliances, and shrewd political maneuvers. The company's officials, often acting as de facto rulers, negotiated treaties, collected taxes, and even administered justice in the areas under their control. This gradual shift in power dynamics allowed the company to establish a strong foothold in India. It involved a series of wars, alliances, and shrewd political maneuvers. The company's private army, composed of both British and Indian soldiers known as sepoys, grew in size and strength. These forces were crucial in defending the company's interests and expanding its territories. The company's private army, composed of both British and Indian soldiers known as sepoys, grew in size and strength. This army was not just a defensive force, but also an instrument of expansion. The sepoys were trained in European military techniques and were equipped with modern weaponry, making them a formidable force in the region. One of the key events that solidified the East India Company's dominance was the Battle of Plassey in 1757. This battle was a turning point in the company's history, marking the beginning of its transformation from a commercial entity to a political power. This battle pitted the company's forces, led by Robert Clive, against the Nawab of Bengal and his French allies. The Nawab, Siraj-ud-Dowlah, was determined to expel the British from Bengal, but Clive's strategic acumen and the superior training of his troops proved decisive. Despite being outnumbered, Clive's forces were victorious, largely due to the betrayal of the Nawab's general, Mir Jafar. Mir Jafar's defection to the British side was a critical factor in the outcome of the battle, ensuring a swift and decisive victory for the East India Company. The Battle of Plassey had far-reaching consequences. It marked the beginning of British political control in India and laid the foundation for the establishment of British rule in the subcontinent. The victory at Plassey allowed the company to gain control over Bengal, a region rich in resources and strategically important. It gave the East India Company control over Bengal, a wealthy and populous region in eastern India. The revenue generated from Bengal's vast resources, including its fertile land and thriving trade, significantly boosted the company's financial standing and enabled further expansion. This victory marked a turning point in British history as it laid the foundation for British rule in India. The company's success in Bengal served as a model for its subsequent conquests and consolidations in other parts of India. Over the next century, the East India Company gradually expanded its control over other parts of India, often through a combination of military force and political manipulation. The company's ability to adapt to changing political landscapes and its strategic use of alliances and military power were key factors in its rise to dominance in the Indian subcontinent. Section 4. Victories and Costs, Wars of Expansion and Attrition. The British Empire's expansion was not without its challenges. The pursuit of new territories often led to conflicts with other powerful nations, each vying for dominance and control over lucrative lands and resources. Throughout its history, Britain fought numerous wars both to defend its existing territories and to acquire new ones. These conflicts were driven by a mix of economic interests, strategic considerations, and national pride. These wars were costly, both in terms of human life and financial resources. The toll on soldiers and civilians alike was immense, with many lives lost and communities disrupted. The financial burden of sustaining prolonged military campaigns also strained the empire's economy. One of the most significant conflicts was the 7 Years' War from 1756 to 1763, which pitted Britain against France and its allies. This war is often considered the first true world war due to its global scale and the number of continents involved. This war was fought on a global scale, with battles taking place in Europe, North America, the Caribbean, and India. The conflict saw major engagements on land and sea, with each side striving to outmaneuver the other in a bid for supremacy. The British emerged victorious, solidifying their control over North America and India. This victory significantly expanded the British Empire's reach and influence, setting the stage for its dominance in the 19th century. Another major conflict was the Napoleonic Wars from 1803 to 1815, which saw Britain leading a coalition of European powers against Napoleonic France. These wars were marked by a series of intense and large-scale battles across Europe. These wars were long and costly, but Britain ultimately prevailed, cementing its status as the world's dominant power. The victories in these conflicts not only secured Britain's position, but also reshaped the political landscape of Europe, influencing international relations for decades to come. Section 5. The Price of Empire, Economic Burdens and Decline. While the British Empire brought wealth and prestige to Britain, it also came at a cost. Maintaining a vast empire, with its sprawling colonies and military commitments, was an expensive endeavour. The cost of wars, colonial administration and infrastructure projects placed a significant strain on Britain's finances. By the 19th century, the economic burdens of empire were becoming increasingly apparent. The costs of maintaining colonies often outweighed the economic benefits they provided. Moreover, the rise of industrialization in other nations, such as Germany and the United States, began to challenge Britain's economic dominance. The British government faced growing pressure to reduce spending and address the empire's financial woes. However, finding a solution proved to be a complex challenge. The empire had become deeply ingrained in British identity and prestige, making it difficult to contemplate any significant retrenchment.